if you would have ended up on the streets, who cares? Alright guys, so today is going to be a serious video, something that I've never done before on my channel. So I'm just going to go over a couple of disclaimers. The disclaimer I have is, if you are triggered by anything I say regarding depression, anxiety, past trauma, then please go ahead and click off this video. Then this video is not for you. I'm basically going to be discussing some past trauma and a little bit of what I've been going through like the past 6 months. So it's regarding depression and anxiety. Again, if this triggers you whatsoever, please make sure you go ahead and click off this video, because this video is not for you. Now, please keep in mind that what I'm saying is basically my truth, what I've experienced, and the fact that it has been a long-going problem. I guess not necessarily a problem, but just something that has been lingering on for like so many years, and it's to the point that I just have to come out and just express myself and say it in order to be the true raw me, which is the reason why I did change my name. I am not condoning anything, so anything that you hear regarding like any type of medication, I am not here to tell you that you need to take medication. I am not saying that medication is the one-size-fits-all. It is up to your discretion if you want to use any type of medication that is given to you from your doctor to help you cope with what you are going through. And if you know somebody who is going through these type of things, please be mindful of the signs and do not ignore them, because people who are going through these type of things, they don't genuinely come out and say it unless they feel comfortable, or they feel like they've reached a breaking point and it's like, okay, like let me come out of my box and just go ahead and say something. Alright, let's go. Let me get right into this video. Please make sure you go ahead and subscribe to my channel. No, my channel is not going to always be like this, but this is a just a little sit down chit chat that I want to discuss with you guys. I want to do more, but not as serious like this, but yeah. Listen, I'm the type of person that I do hold things in. I am more of like an introvert. Yes, I do like to have fun, but you will never know that until you actually get to know me. The beginning of this year, I decided that my goals that I had for 2022 was no longer going to be about just strictly weight loss. I remember saying that I was struggling with, why do I always quit? Like, what is going on that I always quit? Because I did this in 2021 and then in 2020, and it's like I'm always quitting when it comes down to what I want to do for myself regarding weight, regarding whatever it is that I want to do, like with YouTube, whatnot. I'm always quitting, and I could not understand the reason why I always quit. And beginning of the year, I decided that I want to work on myself, and whatever that means, I want to clean myself from the inside out. And I knew that me being a believer in Christ, I knew I needed God to help me with this. Now, mind you, I did not know that God was going to do these different things to help me get through it. Just know that when you ask God for help, He's going to give you that help. So it may not be how you think it's going to be, but just know that He's going to take you through some trials, and you may not even want to hear it or see what's going to come, but you do know that at the end of the road, you're going to have this big breakthrough, and it's going to be a beautiful thing. But while you're going through and searching and doing some soul searching, it is going to be a little difficult. So with that being said, the beginning of the year, I decided to, and I'm going to refer to this person as a parent. I'm not going to say which one, but I'm just going to say the parent. I decided to let off some, just express my feelings to this parent, and you know, just let this person know, like, hey, you know, what happened in the past when I was growing up, this affected me, you know, and just let them know like how I felt and how we did not have like a relationship the way that I felt as a daughter should have with their parent. I've expressed, you know, the conversation of, you know, why was I put out when I didn't do anything. I wasn't pregnant at the time, and it was just a whole lot of stuff as well, like, what did I do to you to make you feel this way towards me when I grew up as the only child in the household? So it's like, you would think, as far as like in my mind, you would train the child up the way that they should go, you know, not just relying on the school to tell them how to, you know, just, you wouldn't rely on the school to be more of like the parent, I should say. I expected a little bit more out of my parent as far as like as me being a young adult. So I was put out at the age of 19, and I'm not going to go so much into detail about that current event, but I was put out, and then I didn't find out until a month later that I was pregnant. So I had to spend time like far as like staying with people, just like living out of a suitcase. And mind you, I was in North Carolina, and then I moved down here with my husband, and that was at the time my boyfriend. So I moved to Florida. But I spent so many years just not understanding the full reason why I was treated this way. Like felt like I was neglected. And again, for me to be the only child in that household, it was like, where was the direction? And all I knew at the time was, well, I didn't go into the army, so now you upset. Of course, I've had hearsay. People would tell me what this parent would say, and I'd just be like, well, you know, that's the parent, you know. And I just let it brush off, you know, the shoulder and just like ignore it. But I was never really truly open about my true feelings. So it's like, I basically just gave the parent what they wanted to hear, just saying, oh, I'm sorry for, as far as what I remember what the parent told me 6 months ago, that I said I was sorry for being pregnant, which doesn't make sense. But it was trying to, basically, I was doing what I was being told from other people, was try to do whatever you can to get back into the house, or try to build some type of relationship so where, you know, that you can get back in. But none of that worked. So I'm gonna speed it up because I'm not trying to relive all of that. But just know that my adult years, my young adult years, was not, the direction was not given from that parent, which it should have been. I spent years with other people being that parent for me, giving me direction, telling me about the world, and that's pretty sad. That is really, really sad when I didn't grow up with, you know, living like in poverty. Like, I didn't grow up like that. So it's like, I did not live a difficult life, you know, a single parent life maybe, but I did not grow up like that. I did have parents in the household, but they split. So, you know, so what I decided to do was to let all of my feelings out. I first did a text, you know, just pretty much explaining like, hey, this is what I've been feeling all this time. I just wanted to let you know. I was, you know, just confused as to why, like, what did I do to you to make you feel that way towards me? Like, I'm trying to be a better version of myself, but I just had to basically come back to the past and just let you know, because I don't want the parent thinking, so in my head I knew the parent was thinking, oh, we were good. Is this, that, and the third, when, come on, we barely even talk on the phone. I don't call you up for the littlest things. I don't call you up for advice. I don't even call you up. I didn't even call you up when I had London, when I was pregnant with London. You know, you never been down here to visit me. You never been to none of my labors of me having my kids. So it's like, so I knew for a fact that she is unaware and maybe had this fantasy in their head, and probably they were just telling their friends like, my daughter, my daughter, my daughter, when really, no, it's really not like that. So I just wanted that parent to just understand and know, like, hey, before we even leave this earth, because we are all going to leave this earth one day, I just want to let you know, like, this is how I felt, and I don't want to continue feeling this way, but I want you to know this is my true feelings. Now that after 20 something years I am able to express it because I'm an adult, there's no backlash coming on me. Specifically said, please do not call me if you disagree with anything that I said. If you're not going to come with an open heart to receive it, please do not call me. But of course, I got the phone call 2 days later, and it was like scripted. Like, I can hear the pages turning as that parent was talking, and it was just more of like not taking ownership. And that was one of the things I mentioned, that if you can't take accountability for what you did and how you made me feel, then there's really no need to talk. So we talked, and it was just like all of a sudden, and I'm 41 years old, and here it is, I was starting to feel like I was 19 all over again. And the feeling that I had, like even having that conversation, it was like, yeah, I'm speaking up for myself, it feels good, but at the same token, it was like, I cannot believe I am on this phone having to bring it out of this parent, like, hey, like, do you not understand how you made me feel? And it was just more of, well, you made me feel this way, and that's not my fault. You should have learned in school. And it was just a whole big mess. And all I can say is, again, I felt a little bit bullied at the end, because it's like, I asked the question, what do you want? And the parents said they want a relationship. And it was like, well, do you want a relationship? And it was like, yeah. But in my head, I was like, no. Because first of all, this is not how I envision it. I envision it of that parent saying, you know, I'm sorry you felt that way. And what I did was, I shouldn't have reacted that way. I shouldn't have just pushed you out there to let other people take care of you when you were my responsibility. I should not have done that, and I didn't get that. And what I expected, I didn't get, and that tore me up on the inside. But I had to keep it together while being on the phone with this parent, and it was just like so stressful. Mind you that for 20 something years, your girl has been constantly stressed out. My marriage was affected a lot. What I saw growing up in the household in my early years of, you know, being a child, it was like the arguing all the time. And I saw my parents, one parent give up on the other parent, and it was like, well, I'm gone. And then before you know it, here comes the divorce. And I knew right there from that moment when I was young that I would never just give up on a marriage like that. In my opinion, it was because of friends talking, getting into that parent head, and they just moved on. And it was like, I don't have to put up with that. Well, because I was not really being taught these different things, I kind of carried it on into my own marriage, to where it was like, okay, well, I'm not going to be like them. That's pretty much in a nutshell of how I felt. So there was a lot of hit in depression where I would have nightmares. I would just get very upset over the littlest things. My husband will always tell me, you know, you always always, you know, allowing what your mom did to you affect you in how you communicate and how we interact with each other. And it played such a big part because I did not resolve it the way how I should have resolved it. And at that time I was just young, I did not know, and it's like everything is just hitting me so fast and I just didn't understand it. And then by 23 I already had 2 kids and I was married. So I'm trying to figure it out on my own because that's how I'm being trained now. Okay, the parent didn't teach me this. Okay, the other parent was away in a whole nother state, so I'm not really being properly trained, because it's like when you live with one parent, of course they talk bad about the one that's not there. So it's like, well, I can't go to the other parent because it's like I'm hearing different things, and it's like me being in the middle with 2 parents going like this. Like, that's not cool. That's why I said I would never allow or put my kids through something like that. And I ended up allowing that to happen. But with London, she did not really see a whole lot of that, and that was a good thing, because why I had to train, I was still young trying to raise 2 kids. But going back to the conversation on the phone that I had, I think it was around January, February, I was like, you know, by the time I got off that phone call, my expectations again was to feel good and have a good communication and just all hearts mended and blended, but it was not that. When I got off that phone, I just wanted to scream. I was shaking so bad. My husband took me out and we went out to eat. I couldn't even enjoy myself. On the way home, my mind was so distorted, gone pretty much. And girl, when I got home and I called the other parent, and it was like and this what happened, and like I couldn't even breathe and get my words out, and it was so hard for me to talk, to the point where I had to try to control the anxiousness or whatever you want to call it that was inside of me, that I was like, and this happened, and this, and like that's how I had to like really try to calm myself down, because if I didn't, I was going up and up and up, and then I could have just passed out right there on the floor. But while I was trying to just control and just take deep breaths, and it was like I was speaking real low, and that other parent was like, just tell me what happened. And I have such a really good close relationship with that other parent that, you know, and I just felt like all these years, it wasn't, I don't know. All I'm going to say is, from a child's view, you should just never put your child in the middle to where you're talking bad about the other parent. You should never do that. If anything, you should say, okay, how do you feel about what happened? And, you know, these are the things that you need to look for when you find your mate. Like those type of talks, I did not get none of those talks at all. Just know that when I had that conversation with the other parent about what happened earlier that day, I was just messed up for like literally 2 weeks. I was messed up. That when the parent did call me and was like, okay, so how's everything going? I'm like, good. I'm like giving short answers, because it's like, I don't want to talk. Like, leave me alone. Like, I cannot believe you. Like, the things that you said to me, even the stuff that I was like, so why did you put me out? Like, what if I did not have somewhere to go and I was on the streets? Then what? That parent sat there and told me it was not their fault. It was my fault. Because you should have did good in school. You should have went into the army. You're grown. It's not my fault. And that's like the same repetitive thing I heard when I was 19. you're 19 years old, it's time for you to go. Like, I just turned 19. Come on. But I never forget it. August 1st, 1999, I was told I needed to leave by August 31st, 1999. I had 30 days, right when I was going to pay my phone bill, that I had my own phone line in the house. But before I get ready to walk in, that's what I was told. And it was like, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But, you know, when you finally hear it coming out of like the horse's mouth, it hits different. Because all the while, like I said in the beginning, it was like other people telling me. But when you hear it, it's like, what did you just say? I cannot believe you said that. Like, the things that was said to me, in my opinion, I would not have never told my child that. I would never have told my child that it is not my fault that you didn't do what you were supposed to do. And if you would have ended up on the streets, who cares? I don't care. I would never have told my child that. The only child. Remember, one parent only has one child. The other parent has 3 kids. But I grew up in this household as the only child. So, again, what did I do to deserve this? And it's like, you know, things I just don't understand why I was told that, and how. Really want to know how a person is, you got to know the family, because anybody can just sit there and tell you this XYZ, and really they're really not who they say they are. That's who they're trying to be, but they don't really have it all together in their back door, because they got a lot of skeletons in their door that they just put a lock on, and it's like, nope, not opening that Pandora box. It's going to stay there. But again, I strongly suggest that you do try to seek help and journal if you don't feel comfortable at the moment, and just do whatever you have to do to try to express yourself in a safe manner and to make yourself feel good. And you know, because it's all about self-care. Like, all of this is self-care. We always talk about self-care on YouTube and thinking that self-care means, oh, you know, your face and, you know, your mindset, mental awareness. But a lot of times self-care can also be about that troubled past, you having to deal with it and face it, and then that way you can move forward and be able to enjoy, you know, pampering yourself, doing something for yourself. So I'm gonna leave this as part 1 and then move on to part 2. I got something out of this, and I will chat with you in part 2. So stay tuned. Thank you for watching.